Aunt tells me that my paycheck should go towards her son's college fees when she didn't let me stay at her house in order to attend school. I got a job around 3 months ago. It's my first proper job that doesn't happen to be in a fast food restaurant. No hate. This was to pay for my rent and save up for uni. I live away from my parents because I go to an international school in another city. As per customs in the country I live in, and to show gratitude, I gifted my first paycheck to my parents. It wasn't much, but I could see that they appreciated it and we were all happy. This lasted for 10 minutes. My mother then decided to go on the family group chat to tell everyone. No blame on her, I understand. I then get a call from my aunt, who then proceeds to ask me about the details of my job, which seems fishy considering she hasn't really given a shit about my existence until 2 seconds after that text message is sent. She then explains that her son, my cousin, who goes to the same school and is in my grade, is going to college. No shit. And that I, as a person with a source of income and as a family member's, should pay part of his school fees using my next paycheck as I am part of the family and I should support him. For the record, I know that my aunt has a substantially larger salary than I do, but I guess she doesn't care to spend a dime of it on something that doesn't benefit her. For the record, I know my aunt has a substantially larger salary than I do, but it seems she doesn't want to spend any of it on things that don't benefit her. Additionally, when I got into this school, my mother called my aunt to ask if I could stay with her until I graduated, but she refused, saying they didn't have space. Instead, my parents bought me a small flat, and I have to work to contribute to the rent. My aunt went on about how hard my cousin worked to get into college and insisted that I should have some sympathy for him. Honestly, I don't feel any sympathy for a kid who stays out all night and barely puts in the effort at school. With the little patience I had left, I politely reminded her that most of my salary goes to my own basic needs, such as paying rent and buying food, as well as saving up for my tuition fees, to which she rudely responded with, "If you can do that, you should be able to donate some money. I've always been taught the value of hard work and self-sufficiency, and now it felt like my effort was being taken for granted, and so I then hang up on her out of frustration." Later, I get a call from my mother asking why her sister was complaining about me. I explained my end of the story, and now she has blocked my aunt as well. My aunt realized this and has been pestering other relatives to help cover the fees and guilt-tripping, shaming those who don't donate, and is probably ranting in the family chat as I am writing this. It feels good to vent a bit. Sorry if this was long and the wording is weird. My English sucks. Comments. Tell your aunt. If I can get a job to pay my expenses, your son is perfectly capable of doing the same thing. In the family chat. It's such a shame that parents who have the means to pay for their children's education are unwilling to do so and demand that family pays, "I'm sorry, donate to help." Your aunt is out of her mind. I'm glad your mother has your back on this topic, and I hope the rest of the family in the chat tells your aunt she's way out of line. Tell her that if your cousin has an up-to-date resume, you can send him links to apply for a job at your place of employment. Oh, and if Auntie Dearest suddenly decides that her kid should live with you in your flat to save on expenses because family helps family, tell her there's no room. Story 2. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife that if I waited for her to make memories with our son, we wouldn't have any? Last weekend, I, 39 male, helped my son, 14 male, dye his hair purple. Or my good friend who actually knew what he was doing helped dye my son's hair while I was there for music requests and object fetching. It was such a fun day, and I could tell how happy it made my boy. I didn't tell my wife before we did this, and that was the catalyst to the fight we're currently having, but for me it's so much more than this one incident. My wife has been hands-off with our child for a while now. His soccer games, little road trips to nearby amusement parks, back to school shopping. She's too busy with work, or too tired from work. So I've mostly just stopped having the conversations. Why would I waste my breath to have the same conversations on repeat? The night we dyed his hair, she started crying while we were talking, saying we were making all of these memories without her. I asked you what she expected me to do. If we waited for her to make memories, we would be sitting in a dark room 100% of the time. My son isn't even really comfortable with her anymore. There is no, "I can't take you, go ask your mom." Now it's, "I'm sorry, I can't take you. Let me see if friend is free that day." My wife isn't speaking to me now, and I'm wondering if I took it too far. I don't know. I was hoping some brutal honesty would change something. I would have loved having more kids, but I guess it's for the best now that she said no. Edit. I am a stay-at-home dad. The original plan was for me to start working again when our son went to kindergarten, but my wife was gunning for a promotion around that time and asked me to stay out home longer. Once she got the promotion, her hours increased, so that time was extended once again. I am responsible for all the household chores and general homemaking tasks. I cook, clean, do all the yard work, all the grocery shopping, etc. I do enjoy being a stay-at-home dad, but I've been ready and willing to rejoin the workforce for a decade now. At this point, I will be getting a job when my son turns 16 and can get himself to and from school. But my wife still refuses to cut her hours even if I get a job and gets frustrated every time I bring it up. There is no point in me forcing my son to ride the bus or figure out a ride for himself if my wife still won't make the effort or compromise in order to spend time with him. Comments. She's feeling regret. I'd recommend her some therapy to deal with that and to help push her into changing before it's too late for her to bond with her son at all. If the genders were flipped and there was an absent breadwinner father and you were a stay-at-home mom, everyone would be on your side. Work is exhausting, yes, but that doesn't make you not a parent. Of course they can't be there for everything, especially for things that happen while she's working, but she needs to find time to connect with your son when she's off. However, you might need to pick up some of the slack to allow her to do that. While yes, stay-at-home parent is a full-time job, it's also definitely less stress than knowing the entire family depends on your existence to keep a house and feed people. Story 3. Am I the a-hole for telling my girlfriend she's going to have to get over dirt if she wants kids? My 25 female girlfriend Amy is a wonderful person. She's very smart. She works in a clean room with computer chips and stuff. But she's also something of a germaphobe, to the point that she keeps her toothbrush in the hallway outside the bathroom in a Ziploc bag. Her apartment is always spotless. She showers twice, thrice a day. Even her car somehow never has any dirt on the floor. She hand washes all of her clothes as soon as she's done wearing them. It's both impressive and intimidating. I'm not the messiest person on the planet by any means. I don't have massive piles of unwashed dishes or a leaning tower of used pizza boxes or anything, but I'm not as clean as she is. I'm not against making some adjustments, but we've been talking more about the future now that we're getting serious, and I've come across a problem. Amy wants kids, desperately wants kids. I'd like kids too, but she's never been around babies or little kids before in her life and seems to think she'll be able to keep the house just as clean as it is now and keep the baby spotless too. I'm the oldest of 4 and the oldest cousin of 9. I grew up around kids. I've been babysitting since I was 10. There is no such thing as a clean toddler, not for longer than 10 minutes at the very most. She thinks if we just work at it, we have a spotless house and a spotless kid. I told her, gently, that that's just not possible, and asked how she plans on handling diapers, vomit, frogs smuggled into the house, jam going everywhere, soup bowls tipped over for fun, spilled grape juice, nail polish on the walls, and the like. She insisted that the kids who do that are just poorly trained and don't have good boundaries. I told her that they're kids without fine motor control or impulse regulation, and accidents will always happen. And if she wants to have kids, she's going to have to accept that they're going to get messy, and our house will get messy. Amy accused me of not being supportive and trying to find excuses not to have kids with her and trying to guilt her into being sloppier. This is dissolving into an actual fight instead of a discussion, and I'm starting to second guess myself. Maybe my family was just excessively messy because we were rural and poor. Maybe my standards are too low and we really haven't tried hard enough. It's very frustrating, and I want some outside perspective, parental perspective especially. Comments. Messes are inevitable with kids. You can't work at getting a newborn to not spit up or not pee during a diaper change. Potty training exists, of course, but you're going to be dealing with so many accidents, so many late night sheet changes. You'll find food on your kids in the weirdest, most random places. She needs to lower her expectations or she's going to be horribly disappointed. My mom was like this to an extent. We looked shiny and clean, and our house looked like a show home. I had to have my clothes just right and my shoes unscuffed and my room looking perfect. The illusion was more important than our lived reality. I grew up terrified of getting dirty and feel deep shame even now when my house is not perfect. Do not intentionally put a child in this position. They have to come first. They have to be allowed to get messy and make mistakes and play outside and not have to pretend to be a doll you just lay solid. Story 3. Am I the a-hole for only getting pictures of my adopted daughter? My husband and I have 3 girls, 2 bio, 4 and 5, and 1 adopted, Avery 12. Avery is my friend's daughter. When Avery was 8, her parents passed in a car accident. Over the next 3.5 years, she was passed around to different family members across multiple states. One person/family would take her, promise she can stay with them, Then within 6 months, she was shipped off to the next person. She's been with us for 6 months, and it's definitely a challenge. She has pretty bad abandonment issues, so she has a tendency to test us or act up to try to get us to give her away. She's even run away twice. Anyways, we don't have many pictures of Avery in the house. She hates her school pictures, so I'm not allowed to put those up, and she doesn't usually like it when I take pictures of her. We just took a vacation, and I told Avery we were going to be taking family pictures while we were there. I also booked an individual session for Avery so I can get some pictures of just her. Throughout the trip, I also made sure to get pictures of Avery, some with the other kids, but mostly pictures of her at the beach in front of a waterfall and just at random points on the trip. I was getting the pictures developed, and my husband commented that the only pictures I took were family pictures, pictures of all of the kids, or only pictures of Avery. I told him I wanted pictures of her to put up around the house since right now we only have pictures of our bio kids. He thinks it's not fair to our bio kids that I only focused on Avery when I was getting the pictures, and that once everything is framed and put up around the house, the girls are going to think this vacation was all about Avery. Now I'm wondering if focusing on her on this trip was unfair to the other girls, or if it looks like favoritism. Comments: not the a-hole. Unless the husband points it out, the kids won't notice, but the adopted daughter definitely will. Just make sure to put the family and group shots in prominent places. Put the single ones of A with the existing single shots of your kids. All your kids will notice is that A now has pictures of herself next to theirs. One will likely loudly and happily shout, "Look, A, you're next to me here." Remind hubby to not make an issue of it, as your kids won't. They will, when older, understand you are playing catch-up. Just in the future, remember to get some individual of everyone and various groupings. This is a perfect example to talk about equity versus equality. If you treat everyone equally, you do nothing to help those who started with less. Avery started with little to no pictures around the house, whereas your other children did. Right now, you are trying to help Avery reach the same point as your other kids. Who cares if they think this vacation was just for her? They still went and presumably had fun, right? Story 4. Am I the a-hole for not treating my step-siblings the same as my actual siblings? So I have 2 younger siblings who are 15 and 13. Our mom died when they were little, and my dad remarried pretty quickly. I've always been more like an uncle than a brother because of the age gap, but I love them to bits. While in uni, me and a couple of friends started a startup which we sold for a considerable sum. Even though I could have retired then and there, I accepted being kept in as a consultant for a healthy salary. This has allowed me to set up savings account for my siblings, where over time it's been building up to quite considerable sums. It felt like I needed to do this considering how bad my dad was with money. There was no rules on what they could do with the Moonie, only that it could be withdrawn at 18, they could use it for a car trips uni, or whatever. I didn't mind, so long as it was spent on them. It's been quite cute and interesting watching them grow up, and the things they wanted to do with the money change from castles and horses to exploring the world and weddings. But when they last came to visit, it seemed to pivot hard. They started talking about how both their savings will be used on family holidays and housing remodeling, and this really upset me. The next time I visited, I confronted my dad and stepmom, and they explained how it was unfair, how I treated my siblings better than my step-siblings and half-sibling, saying that despite all that they've done for me, that I won't ever help them financially. They said I was selfish, and this was clearly what my siblings wanted because they were unselfish like me. When I feel it's quite clear they put this idea in their head. They continued on about how whenever I do something at my home, I only invite them. My girlfriend only really ever talks to them, and that I've essentially shut my step-siblings out of my life. This whole situation has me incredibly confused because at this point, I do feel a bit guilt for not supporting my step-siblings the same as I did with my actual siblings despite not being really ever close with them. Comments: talk to a lawyer. Get control of the trust money. Your siblings have been subjected to years of manipulation and will make the choices they've been manipulated to make. Note that the choices your parent and step-parent have come up with benefit them, such as remodeling their house and accompanying the children on vacation, because you'd better believe they don't plan to pay their own way. You are incredibly generous to your siblings, although telling them about it and engaging with them so extensively about it certainly could have made your step-siblings jealous. Get the steps really nice birthday and graduation gifts, but control that sibling money or your stepmother will use it to remodel the kitchen. You don't owe anyone anything. Make sure your siblings know that this money is theirs to do whatever they please. If you don't have a close relationship with the others, this totally makes sense, and you are not obligated to have that relationship with them either. Story 5. Am I the a-hole for telling my roommate's boyfriend he has to pay 100 pounds toward utilities or move out after his 1 week stay hit 5 weeks? I, female 27, share a 2-bed flat with a roommate, female 26. Her boyfriend stayed for a week after his lease ended. We're on week 5. In that time, he's been showering twice a day, cooking with my pot spices, pouring my milk, using my eggs, and my shampoo keeps magically shrinking. Our smart meter has been climbing and the water bill's up. The living room has basically turned into his office/gaming den. Last week, I asked for a totally reasonable contribution, 100 pounds toward utilities, and to stop treating my food/toiletries as communal. He laughed and said it's temporary and I'm being transactional. Roommate says I'm making her choose, that he's basically family, and I should show compassion. I actually like him fine, but compassion doesn't pay the bill when the meter's spinning. So I set a boundary. By Friday, either he transfers 100 pounds and agrees to stop using my groceries and personal items, or he finds somewhere else to sleep. Now I'm the villain for setting ultimatums. For context, when we moved in, we agreed that guests are a few nights, not a third roommate by stealth. This isn't a guest anymore, it's an unpaid tenant with opinions. I'm not trying to ban him. I just don't want to subsidize someone who isn't on the lease. If he chipped in and respected basic house rules, great. But right now, it feels like I'm sponsoring a staycation. Am I the a-hole for enforcing a pay-or-go deadline? Comments. You might look into whether this is even allowed by your landlord. You could be putting your lease at risk. Regardless, this guy is a leech. What you are doing is entirely reasonable. You just should not have allowed this to go on as long as you have. Check your lease. There may be a clause in there for the length of time a guest can stay before needing to inform your landlord that there is an additional person residing there. If your roommate feels this is so transactional, then she can leave with her boyfriend and find out directly what it's like to pay his way through life.